Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode of IK NHL Daily Talk. And I, Kyle, am here with, my co-host, Iacob. And yeah, go for it. Say what's up, Iacob.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the another episode. Glad to have you guys all with us today. We're gonna keep it short and sweet today. We're not gonna have a long intro. We're just gonna get straight into the episode. So, Kyle, with that being said, introduce our episode.
Yeah, well, before I'm just gonna say that, we're doing it a little bit differently today because I am currently away as, if you guys have been listening to the Spotify episodes that I described that I was going on a little trip. So, bear with us if the connection's a little choppy, but I also got myself a NHL jersey today that is not our Edmonton Oilers, and I will story post along with a short about it later. So I don't know. Once I do post that, let me know what you think of the jersey. But I think it's pretty sweet, and I'll elaborate more on its history and whatnot. But hint, it's a Canes jersey, but I still think it's pretty cool. And yeah, on that note, let's jump into it. But of course, we're gonna do it like normal. We do our news of the day, then we jump on to the schedule, and then of course we do our NHL starting goalies today, and then our picks of the day, and then of course we do our outro. Does that sound right, Jakob?
That sounds perfectly. Kyle got it exactly right.
Wow, look at me go. It's almost like I've said this once or twice before. All right, but without further ado, let's get it on. And our first news point, or I guess topic that I wanted to speak about, is the fact that Blue Jackets head coach Rick Bowness, after the Columbus Blue Jackets missed the playoffs, said, and I quote, "These guys, they don't care. I don't know if I'm back, but if I'm back, I'm changing this culture." And I don't know, man. That's a crazy statement considering obviously after he came
Yeah.
in, the Blue Jackets, pulled their season 180. And personally, I don't think firing Rick Bowness is the right move. And obviously, the Blue Jackets, they might have to change a thing or two. But I honestly think a couple additions and this team is back in the playoff picture. And also, not to mention that the Eastern Conference this year obviously was very tough. And if this Blue Jackets team is in the West, they're in the playoffs right now. And yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's a tough conference. Basically, they didn't make it.
Yeah, it's very tough. We thought that Rick Bonus was going to come in. He was doing a great job, but unfortunately, last 12 games that they played, they finished 2-8-2. So very tough record, and yeah, it's bad to see that, but it's good to see that Rick Bonus is taking some action on this team and making them better going forward.
Absolutely. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously, if he wants to change the culture, that's on him. But I also seen a comment, regarding obviously this topic that I guess Zach Wierenski was not happy about the comment and obviously said, to say that we don't care is an injustice. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm sure some of the guys care on that team. I mean, you know, I can't speak for everyone because I'm sure like on every NHL team, there's one guy who's just there for the money. But no, I mean, these guys care and they want to win. And yeah, I think Bonus took it a little bit far, obviously, with this statement. But I do think, that sometimes he needs to speak the truth, and maybe they didn't care enough down the stretch and thought they were already in.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure.
But yeah, Jakob, do you have anything else to add, or do you want me to move on?
Now I think you can move on to the next topic.
All right, and then today we have a single signing, or a single player signing, I guess I should add, because we have a general manager, but we'll speak about that shortly. But we're a singular player that we have. Yeah, NCAA free agent defenseman Ben Dexenheimer has signed a one-year entry-level contract beginning in the 26-27 season, and the 23-year-old had 28 points in 37 games played as captain of the University of Wisconsin. And yeah, obviously he will report to the Iowa Wild, and then obviously he will, begin his entry level deal with the actual NHL club next year. But decent signing, you get a defender who obviously can produce some points. He's only 23, has some upside, and he also had leadership experience being a captain. So I like it, and as the top comment says, glad he got signed somewhere.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely, and we do remember because I believe this was the team that lost in the in the national championship of hockey to to
Hmm.
Denver, excuse me. So glad to see that he's beginning a new chapter in his life, and it's good to see that players are finally getting their opportunities to play at the higher level than maybe they dreamed of.
Yeah, no, 100%. But yeah, no, good for him. And truth be told, I don't know a lot about the player, but obviously, based off the statistics and the fact that an NHL team decided to sign him, he's not that bad. But Jacob, I'll let you introduce this next topic, and I'll let you put your thoughts in first.
All right. Well, the next topic sees that the Blackhawks have signed general manager Kyle Davidson to a contract extension, and I think this is good for the Blackhawks because, as the top comment says, the rebuild is going exactly to the plan. They are rebuilding. Chicago has been rebuilding, getting all these draft picks and these high and Connor Bedard, and they're doing it's going exactly according to plan. And why stop the rebuild now when it's going so good? So no, you want to keep it, and obviously, Kyle Davidson has been playing a key part in this, getting the right players for this rebuild, and right now it's going well. So we'll see how it goes.
Of course, but I mean, obviously McKenna could be out of mix in June, and this team, I believe they're bottom three, which don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I think they could be 29th, but yeah, they're going to get a high draft pick and they're going to add another stud to that mix. But obviously, you have a core and, Connor Bedard, Anton Frondel, Frank Nazar, and then on top of that, you still have other guys like Levshinov, Korchinski possibly in the future if he develops. And then you still have, some nice pieces. And then obviously you have Spencer Knight in net. And yeah, personally, Jakob, I really like this core. But I don't know, Jakob, do you like this extension?
I like this extension a lot for him. I think it's very good. And like I said, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it's going
Hmm.
well so far, and he's the right man for the job. And I'm glad the Blackhawks are continuing to put their faith in him.
Absolutely. And ultimately, we'll see not too long down the line whether or not he is the right guy, of course. But only time will tell, of course. And no, good for Kyle Davidson. And yeah, because I seen a pretty funny video at one point, which, there was I guess, a hockey podcast walking around downtown Chicago asking, people what they thought about the Hawks. And ironically enough, someone that ended up getting questioned was the general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks and Kyle Davidson.
Mhm.
And obviously, he acted like a fan because he wasn't recognized and he didn't really want, to be acknowledged as being someone who's at that high level. And he just wanted to act like a regular person. So he just spoke about the 2010s and them winning the Cups and Patrick Kane, Patrick Sharp, Jonathan Taves, Duncan Keith, all those guys.
Yeah, that was funny. I did see that.
But yeah, no, we have one more topic, which unfortunately I gotta pull it up real quick because obviously my connection was not cooperating when we were getting this set up. But it is regarding a Islander goaltender, or I guess former Island. I mean, I guess we'll see. Maybe he plays for the Islanders next season. But Semyon Varlamov, after not having played a game since November 2024, after having to undergo double knee replacement surgery. He played his first game in Bridgeport with the AHL in his return, and in his return, he had a 900 save percentage and made 18 saves on 20 shots. And for a guy who hasn't played a hockey game or a pro hockey game in just about a year and a half, along with obviously being in the latter half of his 30s, I think that's a pretty good performance. And I don't know if he's going to play an NHL game again, but I think this guy can definitely go out and play some more pro hockey, and I'm sure he's going to have the drive to do so after having such a long and lengthy recovery and drive to get back into action.
Yeah, no, definitely the injuries definitely screwed him up a little bit, but it's good to see that he's back and he's still playing, the level that he's supposed to play. And today he gets a win and has a 900 save percentage, so very good performance by him. And we'll see if he continues to step it up.
Absolutely, but no, I really like it, and obviously, yeah, no, good for him, and I'm glad to see him back. But Jakob, guess what I didn't do?
What did you not? The spin the wheel thing?
I didn't make the wheel. Which do you want to make it right now or no, or don't bother
No,
and
I,
just choose a game
I
each?
I say don't bother. Let's just pick a random game each.
All right. Or you know what? Here, what I'll do is how many games are there? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. So I'll do a random number generator. Random
I bet.
number generator one. Oh man, I can't type. Sorry, guys. But okay, here we go. So Jakob, this is for you, and I guess you'll be doing first game, bro. So
Damn, bro.
Jakob will be fully recapping the Bruins versus the Devils. And then I have to get an even number because we go back and forth. So if it's an odd number, I'll spin again.
Bro gets the second game. Okay, sounds good.
All right, I guess we're starting hot. And Jakob, I'll let you go first. So let's get this recap. I'm excited.
Well, the first game sees the New Jersey Devils go into Boston to, face off against the Boston Bruins, and Boston wins this one 4-0 by a shutout. And Swayman stops 21 as the Bruins clinch the first wild card in the East with a shutout, and Pastrnak gets his 100th point. Geeky scores for Boston, who's going to face Buffalo in the first round, as I mentioned yesterday in the Spotify podcast. But we'll go over the goal scores real quick, which the shot total is 26-21 in favor of Boston. But Morgan Geeky opens the scoring, and that would be the game winner. 39th of the season off an assist from Pastrnak and Minton to make it 1-0 just 53 seconds into the first period.
Wow.
Then Mark Kastelik with his 11th of the season from Jeannot and Kurali makes it 2-0 for Boston. And Kastelik again doubles down in the first period and makes it 3-0. And just 2 minutes after that, Victor Arvidsson in the first period as well would make it 4-0 with just 8 seconds left off a snapshot from Zaka and Lindholm to make it 4-0, and that would be where the game would stand. No goal scored in the second or third period. But the 3 stars of the game, obviously Jeremy Swayman with his shutout performance was the first star. Kastelik, who scored 2 goals for 2 points, was the second star, and Kurali, who had 2 assists, was the third star of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we'll go over the goalies now real quick before we say the season series. But obviously, we're not going to mention the Bruins. But for the Devils, it was Nico Daus who allowed 4 on 26 for an .846 save percentage. And the season series between this one, Boston actually won this one 2-1, as this was the deciding one, as Boston wins the first one on December 6th, 4-1. Then New Jersey goes into New Jersey and wins it 4-3 in overtime. And then Boston goes back at home on April 14th and closes this season series out by shutting out the Devils. And yeah, Boston going to face Buffalo. I'm excited for that matchup.
Yeah, it's going to be a good season series. What am I talking about? They've already played their season series, and obviously those two teams will match up us. But no, good win by the Bruins. And I don't know, Jakob, obviously you put your opinions in on that series. I want to say mine real quick. And personally, I think it's going to be, a more competitive series than some people are thinking because obviously, Boston has a solid roster. So does Buffalo, obviously, after winning the Atlantic. And I think the Bruins are going to put more of a fight up than some people thinking. But personally, Jakob, my prediction, and this is my early prediction, I might actually change it before my bracket, but obviously until I see, the side-by-side comparisons, my current pick would be Sabres in 6. But do you like that prediction, or do you think that's bad?
Honestly, realistically speaking, that's what I was saying yesterday. I was saying the Sabres in either 5 or 6.
Wow, you really think the Sabres are going to beat the Bruins in 6? I would argue, that the Bruins definitely have some talent, and argue the Bruins' depth at the bottom of their lineup is better, actually, like debatably.
Yeah, I still think though that Buffalo has a better team overall, and
Mm-hmm.
they've shown that it's been better. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with my prediction. I think the Sabres are gonna win in 5 or 6.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. And obviously, we will be doing our playoff brackets in a couple of days here. And not going to lie, Yak, but I think we'll have to do another YouTube video for that. And we'll both make them on the podcast. And obviously, when you're making yours, I'll just get you to share your screen and whatnot.
Sounds good to
but,
me.
but yeah, thank you for the recap. Yeah, and I will go ahead and recap this second game, which obviously sees the Carolina Hurricanes, which actually, funny enough, Jakob, I'm representing them today because obviously I just got a jersey, so I guess this was meant to be.
I guess so.
But the Hurricanes get the better of the New York Islanders 2-1 on Long Island, and obviously they got outshot 30-21, but the shot total did not matter. Oh my gosh! And Brandon Bussey makes 28 saves. I guess it got updated to 29 later on because obviously the Islanders had 30 shots, and I highly doubt that the Hurricanes pulled their goalie. So who knows? But yeah, of course the Hurricanes edge the Islanders, and Goalie is from Sound Beach, New York, and Jankowski breaks the tie in the third for Carolina. And obviously, at this point, the Islanders were already eliminated. But man, I don't know if you saw Iacob, but Matt Schaefer got a standing ovation at the end of the game for the great rookie season that he had. But going over your goal scorers now, the Carolina Hurricanes would open the scoring just 3 minutes and 5 seconds into the first period, and that would be Nikolai Ehlers with his 26th of the season, assisted by Unger Sorum. I don't know what his first name is, but I presume that's his first NHL assist and his first NHL points. So, congratulations to the kid. And of course, Stankoven would get the other assist. But 10 minutes after, or 10 minutes after, this is in a whole nother period, but half a game later, Bo Horvat would tie the game at 1 with his 31st, assisted by Matt Barzal. And in his NHL debut, Victor Eklund would get his first assist. So, once again, congrats to the kid. And man, there's a lot of firsts today. But moving into the third period, of course, with just over 5 minutes left on the clock, Mark Jankowski, with his 11th of the season, would record the winner, or his 11th of the season, and of course this would stand as the winner, assisted by Joel Nystrom and Alexander Nikishin. And yeah, good win by the Canes, of course, but we'll go over your 3 stars, which sees Nikolai Ehlers with his opening goal would be the first star, Jankowski then with the game-winning goal would be your second star, and Brandon Bussey with his 1 goal against. We see he had a 967 save percentage is your third star. And then, of course, we'll go over the Islanders goaltender, which was probably Riddick or Sorokin, which it was David Riddick, and he would allow 2 on 21 for 19 saves, and he had a 905 save percentage. And I guess the Islanders tried to make it late with the empty net, but ultimately it did not go in their favor. And of course, I'll go back to the main screen, but we'll go over the season series now. And the Carolina Hurricanes sweep the season series as October 30th would be their first matchup, and the Canes on home ice would get the better of the others 6-2. Then once again in Raleigh, Carolina, the Hurricanes would get the better of the Islanders 4-3, and then finally the Islanders would have a game on home ice and they would blow it. There you have it, folks. The Canes win the series 3-0, and of course they win this game 2-1. And we'll see what they can do in the playoffs. But yeah, they've already won the Metro, and they will be playing Ottawa, which that's another series I'm excited for. And I'm sure you already spoke about this, but I want to give my thoughts on that series real quick. And I don't know, the Sens are definitely on a hot streak, but truth be told, I don't have a lot of faith in the Sens, and I think the Canes are going to win in 5. That's my pick.
Yeah, my pick was gonna be that they were gonna win in 5 too. So
Yeah, because I mean, personally, I don't know. I just think that the Sens have been on too much of a hot streak, and I do think that they have the potential to win a game. I mean, obviously, Sens have the potential to win the series as a whole, but I think they win a game and get knocked out pretty quick.
yeah, especially since the Hurricanes are a very tough team to play against, and we'll see how they do this playoffs.
Of course, but Jakob, better the goaltending. I guess we'll see if that ends up being a problem, but Brandon Bussey showed, yesterday that obviously he's trying to shut those questions down, but will it be enough? Only time will tell, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But, I guess I gotta backtrack one more time. All right, well, we'll move on to the rest of our review, and then, we can talk a little bit more at the end. But, Jakob, take her away.
All right, the next game sees the Montreal Canadiens visit the Philadelphia Flyers, where Philadelphia will get the better of this one 4-2, with Samuel Ersson being the winning goalie and Matvei Michkov scoring the game-winning goal.
Didn't realize the Battle of Pennsylvania was going to be played at least half of it in Florida. That's interesting.
Yeah, I guess so. That's weird.
But yeah, in our next matchup, we see the Washington Capitals visit the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Caps would get the better of the Blue Jackets 2-1. And Clay Stevenson would get the win for the Capitals, and then Chychrun with the second and final goal for the Capitals would get the game winner in this one.
All right, moving on to the next game, which is the Anaheim Ducks visit the Minnesota Wild, and Minnesota will get the better of this one 3-2, as Jesper Wallstedt, even though it's actually a funny clip because in the first period they actually misspelled his name. They called it Wallstead. Like,
Oh, Oh yeah, I
No,
saw
they spelled
that.
his name, but instead of the DT, it was an AD. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then Robbie Fabry would score the game-winning goal.
Yeah, no, and great for them. And obviously, that team is pretty solid. And man, the Wild are going to be a force to reckon with going into playoffs. But moving on, we have another team that is making the playoffs who won this one, and the Jets would visit the Mammoth, and of course the Utah Mammoth would get the better of them 5-3. As Karel Vamilka with another win, which at this point it's a countless amount. And we'll do a full season review for stats here in a few days, obviously, but we'll wait till all the games are completed, and then JJ Peterka would get the game-winning goal in this one.
All right. Next game sees the Colorado Avalanche, who played Edmonton just 2 days before that, would visit the Calgary Flames, and Colorado would beat this one 3-1, with Mackenzie Blackwood being the winning goalie and Gabriel Landeskog scoring the game-winning goal.
You know what? Considering their standing or place in the standings, the Flames held their own to a degree.
That is true.
But in our next matchup, we see the Penguins visit the St. Louis Blues in an absolute barn burner, and the Blues get the better of the Penguins 7-5, despite the Penguins at one point in the game being up 3-0. So they definitely blew a decent sized lead. But Jordan Binnington would get the win for the Blues, and Pavel Buchnevich would get the game-winning goal.
That was definitely a good performance by the Blues and not so good performance by the Penguins. But you know what? It is what it is. But the last game sees the LA Kings visit the bottom bottom team, Vancouver Canucks. And Vancouver would get the better of this one, 4-3 in overtime, with Kevin Lankinen being the winning goalie, and Jake DeBrusk scoring the game-winning goal in overtime.
By the way, Jakob, the Canucks have won 3 straight now because they beat all three California teams to ruin their hopes of trying to get higher in the Pacific Division.
Yeah, that is absurd. But kudos to the Canucks. I guess they just want to play good against California teams and leave the other teams alone.
All right, and then of course we'll go over NHL starting goalies today. So as always, I will say the matchup and the time, and Jakob will say your starting goalies. Are you ready?
I'm always ready. Let's do this.
All right, so in our first matchup, which obviously our first ever will be at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 6 p.m. Central Time, and 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and of course I'm in the Pacific Time Zone, so that will be at 4 o'clock, or already started at 4 o'clock here. So, oh man, I'm getting really confused, Jakob, because it's actually 7 o'clock, but I'm looking at my time on my laptop and it's saying 8 o'clock, so that's a little confusing. I'm gonna be real with you. But our first matchup sees the Dallas Stars visit the Buffalo Sabres in what could potentially be a matchup in the Stanley Cup Finals, but who knows?
And that will be Jake Odinger versus Colton Ellis.
Very good. And then, of course, we have two teams that are eliminated, which we see the Detroit Red Wings visit the Florida Panthers.
In this one, we will see John Gibson versus Daniil Tarasov. And spoiler alert, this game actually ended very good for one team and very horrible for another team.
Well, we'll leave it at that. But in our next matchup, we see the New York Rangers visit the Tampa Bay Lightning. And obviously, like I'm sure you mentioned in yesterday's episode, or maybe the day prior, Jakob, but Jonathan Quick played his last game for the Rangers in the last game of his career.
Yes, I did. And that will be Dylan Guerin versus Brendan Halverson for the Lightning.
It might be his first game, but I don't know. Could you pull that up while I'm obviously mentioning all this, Jakob? But for our next matchup, we have the Toronto Maple Leafs visiting the Ottawa Senators, and that game will be at 5:30 p.m. time, and that'll be 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And this one team in Ontario made the playoffs, and the other did not.
Oh God, I got to go back. That will be Dennis Hildeby versus James Reimer.
Which do you have an answer to Brendan Halverson?
I'm currently trying to pull up his elite prospects right now.
All right. Well, I'll say this one in full, and then
This
you
was
can
actually
jump
his
in.
first. It was actually his first game.
Okay, and we'll talk about it tomorrow
Oh
whether he
wait,
got
no,
the
no,
win
no,
or
no,
not.
because he played last year too in 2024, 2025, and played one game.
Oh, so it's his first game this season. Well, still good for the
First game.
kid, and we'll see what he can do. But in our next matchup, we see the San Jose Sharks visit the Chicago Blackhawks, and that game will be at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, and 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
That would be Yaroslav Astrov versus Spencer Knight.
And our final game, which is an hour and a half after that other game, which this is the only game that we'll be able to make picks on, and it is starting ASAP, so we better get on it. But the Seattle Kraken will visit the Vegas Golden Knights, and that will be, well, is at 8 o'clock Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Central Time, and 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and then 7 p.m. for you folks on the Coast.
Now it'll be Nikkei Coco versus Carter Hart.
Which we'll see what happens, but Iacob, I'll scroll through obviously all this, starting goalies for everyone again, but I'll leave it here because then we can, make our predictions. And Iacob, I think I'm gonna let you go first since you said that you
I'm actually going to
weren't
take.
able to.
All right, I'm going to take the first pick. I'm going to take the Seattle Kraken to beat the Vegas Golden Knights.
Okay.
I'm going to take a Chandler Stevenson point for the Seattle Kraken.
Well, you know what, Iacob? Just for the love of the game, I'm going to rival you, and I'm going to take the Vegas Golden Knights to get the win, even though I don't want them to. But I gotta say what I'm feeling, and then I think I will take a. Oh, I don't even know because I was gonna say some of the Vegas players are gonna get scratched because obviously their top players are gonna be sat, right?
Maybe.
Ooh, I think I'm going to pick. I'm gonna take a. I'm gonna take a Keegan Kolazar point.
All right, so there you have it, folks. I took the Seattle Kraken to win and a Chandler Stevenson point.
And then I took the Golden Knights to win and a Keegan Kolazar point. So we'll see what happens, but obviously, yeah, that's where we're at, and you guys will get a review on how those went tomorrow. And obviously, we're getting close to playoffs. There's only a few days of the season hockey left.
Yeah, I'm very excited for playoffs to start, and it's gonna suck not being able to watch the regular season, but I'm more excited to watch the playoffs, and I really hope it. I wish it came sooner. It's like tomorrow.
Oh, I agree, but we're gonna do whatever we can to try to review as many of these playoff games and whatnot as possible. But you know what? We're ready, and obviously we're gonna have to make some YouTube. We're gonna make a lot more videos and hopefully be able to do the podcast every day consistently and into the playoffs. But I will tell you now that we will be able to make brackets, and or to making our brackets. You know what, Jakob? I might try to get a special guest on the show, which you guys will get to see who that is once I show him
All
off.
right, sounds good to me.
And maybe he'll make his bracket too, but we'll see. But yeah, on that note, I'm going to close this tab now because obviously, with that. But we're not going to do the intro just yet. But make sure to check out our Spotify, which Jakob is also recording it on here. So if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to check that out. And then, of course, if you're actually already listening on Spotify, make sure to check our YouTube, which is also IKNHL Daily Talk. And then, of course, Jakob, go make sure to check out our Instagram. I already closed the tab, so I'm not pulling it up again. But that is also IKNHL Daily Talk, and you can find us relatively easily. Jakob and I will make, posts, and maybe we'll make some shorts today. We'll see. But we didn't make shorts last time, so we better actually make something this time.
Yeah, we will, and definitely we will try. We will try to do that.
Yeah, no, obviously, there's some frustration around the league, some big positives, but no, I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and no, it's really fun. I'm so excited for the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, anyway, if you're ready to do it, I'm ready to do the outro.
Which, you know what, since I did the Jakob, you can do the outro, and unfortunately, the stream will basically be done for you, Jakob, so send us out.
Sounds good. All right, well, thank you everyone who listened, on Spotify. Thank you to everyone who watched on YouTube if you're from YouTube. We love you guys. We will see you again tomorrow for another episode of IKNHL Daily Talk as we get closer to the playoff season. Peace out, everyone. Iacob and Kyle Sunchuk signing out for tonight. We will see you all tomorrow.
Yep. See you tomorrow, guys. Peace out, y'all.